What's going on, y'all? BlueFalcon here, coming to you with another video. Look, Street Fighter 6 is finally coming out. You guys, the review is out. Hey, I know what we do on this channel. Before we get started, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment down below because it helps the channel out a lot. And also, in all the review videos that we do, I want you to try to guess what the score is going to be before you go to the end, all right? That's a little game that we play on this channel. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going for a good solid 9. I want to go for a 9 out of 10. All right, guys, let's get to it.
Remember when Street Fighter V came out and a lot of people were disappointed by its distinct lack of meat on its bones? Street Fighter 6 is the polar opposite, complete with an excellent 18-character roster of both new and returning fighters, rendered in a killer new art style, an incredibly ambitious online battle hub that puts all other fighting game lobbies to shame, and just about everything you could ever ask for when it comes to training tools and systems to help you get better at the genre. It's a spectacularly feature-rich fighting game. Street Fighter 6 takes many swings in many different directions, and though not every blow connects, the ones that do are absolute knockouts.
Man, this game is looking dope.
The gameplay of every Street Fighter game since Street Fighter 2 can generally be defined by a unique mechanic. Street Fighter 3 had parries, 4 had focus attacks, 5 had the V system, and now Street Fighter 6 has the drive system. And for my money, it's the best the series has ever seen. Every character gains access to 5 powerful abilities that are all governed by their drive gauge. Overdrive special moves, drive rush, drive parry, drive reversals, and drive impact. Overdrives are essentially the new EX special moves and cost 2 bars. Drive Rush allows you to quickly close the distance between you and your opponent at the cost of 1 bar, or cancel out specific normal attacks at the cost of 3 bars. Drive Reversals allows you to get an opponent off of you while you're blocking their attack at the cost of 2 bars, and Drive Impacts, well, we'll get to those in a bit. I love this system for a lot of reasons, but chief among them is that it opens up so many options, and at the start of every round, you have a full meter and have access to all of them. There's no building this meter up, or worrying about the amount you'll have left over for the next round. I could start aggressively by using a drive rush right out of the gate to put on pressure, I could save my meter for overdrive special moves to increase the damage of my combos, or I could fish for a crouching medium kick and then drive rush cancel it to convert big damage off of a single poke. Those are just a few of the options, and managing them makes the already extremely cerebral fighting of Street Fighter 6 even more enjoyable. The way it's handled when you run out of drive meter is also excellent. Your character enters a burnout state where you're completely unable to use any drive meter related techniques. Your opponent's attacks become more advantageous on both block and hit, you take chip damage, and drive impacts are even scarier than before. And I swear, we'll get to drive impacts in just a bit. Being in burnout is a terrible position, but it's far from an unwinnable situation. You still move at the same speed, your attacks do the same damage, you still have access to all of your super moves, and while your opponent's drive impacts are a huge threat, you know that they'll be looking to do them, which can lead to some interesting mind games on both sides. Some of the most tense and fun matches I've had in Street Fighter 6 have been when I managed to pull out a victory even while in burnout. Now, let's talk about drive impact, because I have a feeling that for a lot of people, whether or not they enjoy Street Fighter 6 is largely going to come down to their feelings on this one move. Drive impact only costs 1 bar of drive meter to use. It has super armor that can absorb up to 2 hits, and if it hits while your opponent is in the middle of their own attack, they will be knocked into a crumpled state, giving you a full combo. And that's not all. Even if they block it, they get blown back and lose half a bar of drive meter. And if they get backed into the corner, you get to follow it up with a combo. That's not all either. Remember how I said that it's even more scary when you're in burnout? Well, if you block a drive impact and you're close to the wall, you get stunned, and you'll eat a full combo in the corner, even though you block their attack. It's one of the most powerful universal mechanics I've ever seen in a fighting game, and if you don't respect it, you will get crushed by it. And yet, I love drive impacts, because they're tuned so that they're just reactable enough to be defended against if you're looking out for them, but also still fast enough to catch you by surprise if you're not. All you have to do is drive impact them right back. You'll absorb their attack, hit with yours, and now the roles have been reversed so that you get the opportunity for a full combo. Countering drive impacts is just so incredibly satisfying, especially when it's the key to you turning the tables around and winning a tight round.
Wow. New world.
Street Fighter 6's roster of 18 characters is mostly familiar, with 12 returning characters and 6 being entirely new. But even the returning characters feel fresh thanks to new quirks added to their movesets. Ken's command run, for example, now changes up the properties of several of his special moves when he uses them out of it, giving them EX-like properties without having to spend drive meter on them. Cammy can now charge her special moves and give them V-trigger-like qualities. And DJ has a ton of new feints that make him an extremely tricky character to use and play against. The New Blood, meanwhile, are some of the best additions Street Fighter has seen. Kimberly is a clear standout, with a ninja-inspired moveset that has her closing the distance with quick teleports, pile driving you into the ground with Izuna drop-like air throws, and mixing you up with tricky leaps from half a screen away. Jamie, meanwhile, is a drunken melee powerhouse who is able to buff himself by taking swigs of his flask. And once he takes 4 drinks, pretty much all of his moves become extremely dangerous, with multi-hitting attacks that left me totally clueless on when it was actually my turn to fight back, forcing me basically to lab against him in training mode. Pretty much every Street Fighter character archetype has representation here. You've got your grapplers in Zangief and Manon, your rushdown fighters in Ken, Jamie, and Cammy, your zoners with Guile, Dalstein, and JP, and your powerhouse bruisers in Marissa and Honda. It's everything I want out of a roster.
Taking you for a ride.
World Tour is an ambitious single-player mode, and while it is a big step up from Street Fighter V's attempt at a cinematic story mode, and anything else Street Fighter has done before, it's certainly the weakest part of Street Fighter 6. It's at least a great idea. It's a surprisingly enormous RPG that allows you to take a created character into the world of Street Fighter, interacting with the playable roster by becoming their disciple and learning their moves, and then building them up from scratch by leveling up, equipping various types of stat-altering gear, and selecting powerful skills. It also does a good job of teaching new players the fundamentals of Street Fighter 6 by including lessons as side quests, with steadily increasing difficulty over the course of about 20 hours. However, RPGs live and die by their stories, and the story of World Tour is unbelievably dull. With paper-thin characters, predictable plot twists, and a mute protagonist whose main purpose is just to be an errand boy for various gangs and factions, there's nothing to get excited about. It feels like it was written with the primary purpose of having your character jump around to various countries to meet the roster characters, and yet it never really bothers to justify those trips. In one chapter, a random gangster all of a sudden tells me that I need to get her bag back that my buddy stole. And so, without any objection, the most reasonable solution is for me to make a global trip to Rome in order to fashion a counterfeit bag that I can hopefully use to fool the gangster into thinking I got her bag back. In another chapter, I had to go to Jamaica and Brazil because my original mentor, Luke, wanted souvenirs from those places and I guess just doesn't know how to shop online. At least the tone is goofy and fun, which is a great fit for Street Fighter. You can fight just about anyone on the street, regardless of whether they deserve a rising uppercut to the face or not. It's fun to use ridiculous looking moves like the spinning bird kick to cross gaps like you're a human helicopter. And there's a surprising amount of enemy variety, many of which do an admirable job of teaching newer players how to deal with specific situations that will come up outside of story mode. Some enemies will favor blocking high, making them vulnerable to low attacks. Others will stay permanently in the air and must be brought down by anti-air techniques. And others still will try to hang back and pepper you with projectiles, forcing you to fight them like you would a zoner type character. And then you also fight refrigerators and Roombas. It's weird, but in a very amusing Yakuza-esque kind of way. There's also a variety of fun minigames that do a great job of gamifying techniques that you would actually use in a typical fight. In one of them, you have to chop bottles by holding back for a second and then quickly moving the stick in the opposite direction and pressing a button, which is how you would perform charge-type special moves on a character like Guile or Blanca. Another has you making pizza by quickly performing special move inputs as they appear on screen. And another still has you using your combos to quickly destroy a big rig in a nod to the original car busting minigame from Street Fighter 2. The best thing about World Tour, though, And the thing that really serves as the carrot at the end of the stick is the promise of being able to outfit your character with moves from every other fighter. By the end of the campaign, I could use Dhalsim's teleport to instantly appear behind an opponent, hit them with Zangief's spinning pile driver, and then use Ken's Dragon Lash kick to get right back up in their face. Being able to customize my character in ways that would make them absolutely broken in the real game is a lot of fun. The issue is that it takes forever to level up a character's style to the point where you learn new moves from them. You do this simply by using them, but even though I only used Luke's and Ken's throughout the entire mode, I still didn't max out either of them. Those who love a good grind may enjoy having plenty left over to unlock after the 20 or so hours it takes to complete World Tour, but I would have liked the drip feed of new unlocks to be substantially faster, considering the sheer amount of rewards that there are to unlock by maxing out the ranks of each character. I have many more issues with World Tour, but even despite them, I still had a fun time with it by the end. It's a mode that's more directly aimed towards people without a lot of fighting game experience, and I think those people will get a ton more out of it than I did. The character customization elements are great. The way it incentivizes fundamental lessons of how to play Street Fighter 6 by dressing them up as side missions and minigames is extremely well done, and there's just an overwhelming amount of content to discover with 2 very large open worlds to explore, both of which have day and nighttime versions that each have their own set of side missions to discover. Another reason why you might want to go through World Tour mode is that you're able to take your character and all the gear that they've earned into the online Battle Hub, which is an online social space where you can queue into both ranked and unranked matchmaking, or pull up a cabinet much like you would in a local arcade and await challengers. Online lobbies are not a new thing in the world of fighting games, and truthfully, I've never been the biggest fan of them. But Street Fighter 6's implementation of the Battle Hub has won me over. For one, it's super cool to look at because Street Fighter 6's character creator is absolutely wild, and gives you the freedom to make beautiful creations with finely tuned features, or unspeakable monsters with out-of-this-world bodily proportions. And it's fun to just wander around the hub and see what people have come up with. There's also a lot of things to do beyond just parking at a cabinet and playing with either friends or random players. There's a section of the hub where you can play a rotating selection of classic Capcom arcade games like Final Fight and Street Fighter 2, another section where you can play extreme battles with party-like rules and gimmicks, a store where you can purchase more customizable clothes for your avatar with in-game currency, and you can even pit your created character against others in avatar battles. But the most important thing about Battle Hub is that it's all optional. If you don't want to deal with it, you don't have to. You can simply queue up for ranked or casual matches via a menu, go into training mode while you wait, or create a custom room for multiple friends without ever having to go through the Battle Hub, which is exactly how it should be.
What
really pushes Street Fighter 6 over the edge is how it completely nails virtually everything outside of its main modes that you could ask for in a fighting game. Based on my experience playing pre-launch and in all 3 betas, including the open beta, its netcode is excellent. It's got the best training mode I've ever seen in a fighting game, complete with frame data, cancel window data, and a ton of other useful things. It's got extremely helpful character guides that make it very easy to learn a new character from scratch, combo trials that teach you practical combos for a variety of situations, load times are extremely quick and rematches are nearly instantaneous, you can search for replays with a ton of different filters to help you learn matchups, there's crossplay across Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, there's frame data when you're spectating, you can create and join clubs, and the list just goes on and on. Many fighting games also have these features, but very few have all of them, and especially not right out of the gate. Street Fighter 6 also deserves credit for really making an effort on welcoming newcomers in innovative ways. On top of World Tour mode, there's also a new modern control scheme that allows you to play without having to worry about character-specific command inputs or combo routes. Special moves are mapped to a button and a direction, much like Smash Bros. There's one button each for light, medium, and heavy attacks. You can execute combos by holding down an assist button and mashing one of the 3 attack buttons, and you can use super moves just by pressing 2 buttons at the same time. The playing field is kept even by the fact that those using modern controls don't have access to a character's full repertoire of normal moves, but being able to perform special moves with just the press of a button is a trade-off that makes the modern control style appealing even for those who aren't beginners. And for those who just want to hold forward and mash on one button to execute special moves and combos, there's also a new dynamic control scheme that's only usable offline and essentially lets the AI choose the attacks for you. Capcom's really just covered all their bases here.
Alright, y'all. Come on. Let's get that 9.
Street Fighter games are always benchmark moments for the 2D fighting game genre, but Street Fighter 6 feels extra special. The drive system is an incredible addition to the fighting mechanics that gives you a veritable Swiss Army knife of options and meter management decisions right from the start of every round. The starting roster is the best that Street Fighter has ever seen. Its online netcode through 3 betas has been impeccable so far, and the number of smaller details that it nails right out of the gate is unprecedented. It's so good that even the poor story and extremely slow progression of the single-player World Tour amounts to only a jab's worth of damage on its metaphorical health bar. Whether you're completely new to fighting games or are a seasoned vet, Street Fighter 6 is a must-play.
There you go, y'all. Alright, so let me just say this. Thanks, IGN, for that review. And let me just tell you guys, if anybody want the work, if anybody want to get clapped in this game, let me know in the comments and I will deliver the beatdown of your life first class, all right? I will have it delivered to you at your door first class. Nah, but on a serious note, I'm really excited for this. Street Fighter, if anybody knows, anybody was part of the old school, Street Fighter was one of the original OGs of fighting games. Until this day, it's still one of the greatest fighting game franchise. And I'm really excited that 6 installments in, and mind you, we're not talking about all the side Street Fighters, right? But 6 installments in, and it's still one of the top fighting games, and that's awesome. I find it a little bit unfortunate with the roster, to be quite honest. Although he said that it's one of the best rosters, I think it's a little bit small in number, but Street Fighter tends to do that, and then Capcom loves to do that. They like to give you the bare bones of any game, and then they try to throw you a whole bunch of DLCs because they just want some extra money later on. And I haven't really liked Capcom's strategy. I don't think it's very consumer friendly, but hey, people tend to, fall for it and keep giving Capcom their money. So I guess it's working for Capcom. But for me personally, I still will get it. Although most likely there's gonna be a Street Fighter 6, a Super Street Fighter 6, or a Street Fighter 6 Ultra, something along those lines where they have more characters, and it's just a utter joke. But anyway, irregardless, I am excited for this game. The story, it really, I hope there's an actual story mode out that's not tied to that world, because if that's the case, it's really unfortunate that they said the story is not great. I was really hoping that the story would be honestly awesome, considering that a lot of the characters that we grew up, playing look a lot older, a lot more mature. You see Ryu with the beard, Ken got that stubble, all of them are older. So I wanted to see what was the character development there, but it seemed like that was a missed opportunity on Capcom's part. So hey, you can't have it all, but fundamentally as a game, it's gonna fall down to the fighting game mechanics any damn way, and it seemed like they got it spot on, especially with that no drive meter. So hey guys, I would like to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you think this game is gonna be awesome? It got a 9, so hey, like I said, if anybody want to get the work, if anybody want that show, you can just let me know, and I'm going to deliver to you first class. But with that being said, you guys, BlueFalcon over and out. Game hard, y'all.